Welcome to the Cycle Frontier. You'll explore strange new lands, discover new wildlife, and meet new people. Yeah, this game is hard, but with a little bit of planning, you'll be spitting out those Skittles rounds in no time.
Taste the rainbow.
So you've got questions, and I've got answers. Not just any answers, good answers. Pick that thing up. Upgrade this. Don't sell that. Craft all of those. These go in that, and then into those. And now, you're a pro. But just in case you're not a pro after all that life-changing advice, stay for the rest of the video. When you start the Cycle Frontier, you're going to go through the tutorial and then be sent on your first drop. Some of the basics are pretty easy to pick up, but you're here for the quick start. Here's the list of what we're about to go over. Feel free to pause it if you're one of those weird people that can actually read. Speaking of which, in the future, if there are any changes in the game that require amending this video, I'll be leaving a pinned comment down below. This video will be covering everything you'll be doing outside of the drop to make sure you're set up for success once you're down on the planet. If you're looking for a fight guide, I have a bunch on my channel and linked at the end of the video. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. Now let's get on with it. Alright, let's start with loadouts. You can make your very own loadout or use a free one. You can also save up to 3 presets. The key thing here you want in a loadout is flexibility. You don't want to find yourself in a position where you don't have any options. Because of this, I highly recommend loadouts with 2 guns. Since you're starting out, you'll have some guns to start with, but you only be able to buy gray guns, and that's just fine. Gray guns are extremely lethal despite their low cost. The PDW SMG and the AR-55 assault rifle are some of the best balanced options in the gray category, and even outperform some of their green counterparts in some situations. Your second gun is your backup gun or your follow-up gun. Many times, you need to swap guns instead of reloading to either close in for the kill or just survive a fight. If you want a detailed breakdown of how primary and follow-up guns work, you can watch my fight guide linked up here. The sniper rifle and trench gun are good options for what they do, but the sniper rifle along with the 2x optic will start to dig into your money early on if you can't make good use of it. Now, while the trench gun isn't useless, the PDW is by far the better gun in most scenarios. As you start to progress, you start to unlock various green guns. So long as you maintain a good balance of flexibility in your loadouts, all of these are good choices. And don't be afraid to mix and match the rarities. It's not like you get cooties or something. Now that you've chosen your weapons, let's talk attachments. Gray attachments are cheap and can be bought from all shops. They will increase the starting cost of a gun for sure, but they are very much worth the cost even when using them in more advanced weaponry. I personally recommend recoil attachments for your main and maybe some swap speed options for your secondary. And don't forget a flashlight. Checking dark corners and being able to operate in the storm is worth 300k marks. With that in mind, you should know which button activates your flashlight, how to turn it on and off in the field. Now, you can craft better attachments at the crafting station, but early on you should be prioritizing looting these items to upgrade your quarters and completing missions for the factions. More on that later. Alright, we've got our guns, now on to meds. There are stems and med kits. Stems all take 4 seconds to activate, weigh 3 pounds, but give various amounts of health. Med kits heal for 100 HP, weigh 15 pounds, but take 9, 8, and 7 seconds respectively to complete. The difference between the 2 different types of meds is that the med kit, if you're low, can get you to full faster than the respective stem rarity. However, if you're playing solo, I recommend staying away from med kits, because generally, if you're in danger, you need to be dialing 877 health now, and if you're not, you've got the time to weak stem it out. Now, weak stems are a solid option because they're only 5 HP less than the strong counterparts. They're a fraction of the cost, and the healing difference is small. However, strong stems are very easy to craft, and I do recommend keeping 3 in your safe pocket when you're starting out. If you make sure to leave them highlighted in your inventory slot, you can access them quickly in an emergency. Once you're out of danger, use the weak stems. This will make it easy to maintain a steady supply of good meds as you're starting out. Generally speaking, having about 15 meds total is a good number to stay close to. Stay mindful of your supply, pick up meds along the way, and after enough drops, you'll figure out what amount works for you. Now, if you are playing with another person or two, medkits can be valuable. If your teammates are able to cover you, a medkit can get you to full health faster than stems can. But this all depends on your group's ability to fight though. Just consider whether you'll be likely to use something that takes up 15 pounds in your bag. Moving on to ammo. The amount of ammo you bring is relative to the weapon you're using, as well as what you're planning on doing for that drop. For example, 40 shotgun shells would be fine for a backup pump shotgun, but maybe not for a semi-auto shotgun as a primary when you're going to kill a lot of mobs. Starting out, you won't need more than a stack or 2 of mid or light ammo for your primary and half a stack for your follow-up if that. Some missions have you deliberately go and kill a bunch of mobs. As you progress through the game, you'll get a better idea of just how much ammo you'll go through. Plan accordingly. Usually plus or minus a stack or a half of one early on does the trick. Alright, next, smokes and nades. I recommend bringing at least 1 to 2 smokes in every raid. They can be used to make an evac more secure and harder to interfere with. They're also very useful when you're in a bad spot and you need to reposition, aka run your ass off. If you start playing with friends, I recommend that number go up by 1 for each person you're playing with. This is because sometimes you need to smoke for your teammates because you're too busy trying not to die.
I'm fighting for my
life!
Grenades are nice to bring, but not really required. Starting off a season, I often do bring 1 to 2 in my safe pocket, as it gives you options when you're fighting someone who's behind cover and pushing them is a little too risky. Moving on to backpacks. Starting out, you'll have access to gray backpacks you can buy, as well as green backpacks you can craft. Gray backpacks are perfectly fine to run, however, green backpacks are very easy to craft, and you shouldn't be worried about running them, especially if you're having early success with PvP. The green bags will allow you to more readily carry out loot items for missions, upgrades, as well as additional gear earned after a fight. Don't forget, you can always slim down your ammo and your meds if you're having to make room towards the end of your drop. Weapons weigh nothing when they're equipped, and you can strip attachments to make them lighter in your bag. Moving on to armor. When you're starting out, you can bring whatever armor you want, however, it is noted that green armor does offer noticeable protection over gray, and it's very easy to attain from free loadouts. You can also craft green armor easily, as the materials are easy to find if you know where to look. Alright, now that you're done building a loadout, don't forget to save it in your presets to allow you to get it back on again after you've likely died. Feel free to tinker with it between drops, so that way you can save any little progress and experience you've made of adjusting the amounts of things that work best for you. Free loadouts are nice and quick, but they do lack flexibility. However, they give you an opportunity to skim supplies. For example, let's say you see a pair of nades, or some blue stems, or something else that you may want that fits in your safe pocket. Drop down to the planet, put it in your safe pocket, and you can exit to the station from there. Now, if you care about that kind of thing, this will affect your KD, but I would still highly recommend running to either evac or a nearby mission location with this free loadout, looting everything along the way. Make good use of your time on the planet. Get to know the map, get into fights, and this will numb you to the gear fear you may be feeling. Alright, now that we've made some loadouts, let's talk about what to do with the loot that we've gathered or will be gathering. You're either going to use an item for a mission or job, crafting, or quarters upgrades. While all items can fit in most categories, some are more suited to do specific things. For example, Smart Mesh and Zero System CPUs don't sell for much money or XP, but are critical components in crafting blue and purple armor. An opposite example is Ferrous Iron, which has a much better weight to XP ratio when sold. Then there are junk items, like metal alloys and compound sheets, just to name a couple, whose primary reason for looting are for missions and upgrades. Moving on to missions and jobs. Missions are the most efficient way to earn K-marks, scripts, and Fortuna Pass XP. Many of these missions have you collect items on the planet, and you won't know exactly what or how much until you accept the mission. However, you can go to the wiki tools, and select Progress Tracker. This will tell you what items you'll need for future missions. You can also go to the item tracker and click upgrades to see what items you'll need for future quarters upgrades. These tools are great resources for looking up what items you're going to be needing in the future. This way, you'll know what to keep and what to sell. After a little progress with a faction, jobs are made available to you. These are missions that you can elect to accept and work on, or let them rotate out. So you can leave them or take the job.
They took our jobs!
As you level a faction, more jobs become available and more job tiers are unlocked as well. However, not all jobs are equal. Some jobs simply aren't worth the time, and others are too easy to pass up. Being asked to churn in a lot of heavy materials that you don't need for a payout that is barely as much as those items would be worth is a good example of a bad job. Needing to kill rattlers is an easy job that you can do while doing other missions. Bear in mind, jobs and missions when completed are some of the best ways to level up a battle pass, so even bad jobs can serve this purpose if that's one of your goals. Ultimately, you want to overlap as many missions and jobs to allow you to complete as many as possible during each drop. For example, if you have a mission that sends you to Science Campus to kill mobs while having a job that tells you to do the same thing, those missions will stack. Alright, when you complete a mission or a job, you get XP for that faction, but you also get XP for selling loot to that faction. I recommend prioritizing a faction to sell to. Each faction has its reasons to prioritize. However, in my opinion, if you're starting out in the cycle, I recommend leveling Osiris at least until you've unlocked the Phasic Lancer rifle. By that point, you will have unlocked the ability to buy strong stims, and the Phasic Lancer is incredibly cost effective for its power level. Running blue gear should be much easier to maintain than purple and higher if you're starting out. With that being said, here are some things about the other factions to consider. In my opinion, ICA has some of the best all-around weapons for the late game. However, their mid-tier options leave a lot to be desired, so it may be difficult to power through those if you're not 100% confident in your abilities. The same can be said about Korolev, but a lot of the stash and safe pocket upgrades require Korolev scripts, but so long as you aren't ignoring the missions they give you, this should be pretty easy to keep up with. Next, we're talking about quarters upgrades. My advice on those is pretty straightforward and haven't changed for some time. Short version, do these. The rest, they're whatever. A larger safe pocket is very important to ensure consistent progress no matter how badly you're doing. At 10 pounds, it really opens up the possibilities because many of the important items are at 10 pounds. Arm generator is free money, and the sooner you get this thing leveled up, the better. It adds up after a while, so level it fast so you can
Treat yourself.
Want an emote?
Treat yourself.
A gun skin?
Treat yourself.
New melee?
Treat yourself.
Even a Fortuna Pass?
Treat yourself.
It's free money. Take advantage of it. Supply crates allow you to have consistent supply of gear, and the higher level up, the better the potential gear you can get. Level 7 is pretty much the highest return on investment. Strong stims, blue guns, don't sleep on this. I get purple armor sets regularly throughout the season. It doesn't always give great stuff, and the results may vary.
They may cause allergic reactions. Signs include redness, severe rash or itching, swollen face, or trouble breathing.
And finally, upgrade the stash as you need it. You should always try and be ready to upgrade your stash, but only do it once you really need to. Some of the upgrade items will be used for missions, so it's nice to have them handy and use only when starting to get cramped in your stash. On that note, we'll be going over some stash management tips. It's a skill you're going to need to learn eventually, so let's go over some tips so you can build good habits. Number 1 on my list is to use gray guns to hold good attachments. A PDW and an AR-55 can hold 7 attachments, not counting a flashlight. Use this method to save attachments for better guns. Second tip, do not buy ammo or meds until you need them. Third tip, if an item is worth keeping one of, it's worth keeping a stack of. One item and a full stack of that item take up the same amount of space. If you're having issues with these items that you have more than one stack of, you can use crafting to manage it. What I mean by this is that you can use it to minimize the amount of inefficient stash space you're taking up. For example, if you have 11 water weeds, 11 old medicine, and 11 shrooms, then making stems and using them will help get rid of 2 stash spaces while giving you strong stems to use. Situations like this are signs that you need to start using your gear and items more freely. Do not claim items you don't need right away on the Fortuna Pass. Those can be claimed on an individual basis at any time. Use the pass as storage in the meantime. In addition to this, ammo sells for basically nothing, so it wouldn't be a good idea to overbuy non-standard ammo. If you have a habit of changing your loadouts a lot, then you should plan on keeping the same loadout for a few drops in a row to make better use of the ammo that you do purchase. This, of course, only becomes an issue when stash space becomes a premium. Okay, so now that we have our loadouts, our missions, and a general idea of what we want to accomplish, let's plan our drop. To do that, there are 3 things you ought to do. First, double check your loadout. Anyone who's played this game for at least a couple of days can tell you they've dropped while forgetting something like bringing a sniper rifle with no optic or armor that's not repaired. It'll happen to you eventually, but a quick look over can help prevent it from happening more times than it needs to. The second thing you want to do is take a look at the map. You can Google any number of resources to find pics or even an interactive map on the wiki. If we compare all of our missions, we can get an idea of what path we want to take in order to get as much done as possible. However, if you're new or still not evacing consistently, I recommend planning the shortest route from your spawn to your evac that still has you completing at least one mission, consistently evacing successfully, and maintaining a pro-progress mindset will have you building wealth fast. So even though it will be helpful to have as many missions in one spot as possible, you can't control your spawns or evacs, so you might land on the opposite side of the map from where you need to be. The upside to having missions spread out over the map is that no matter where you spawn or evac, you can make some progress. Remember, evacing with that bag half full is better than dying with a full bag. And third, figure out whether or not you want to insure anything. The insurance is pretty straightforward. You pay some money on an item, and if you die with said item, you get more money than you pay for that insurance delivered back to you. In my opinion, you should stay away from using salvage insurance for now and only really use standard insurance if you're consistently dying or having a strong belief you're about to do something extra risky in your drop. Consistently insuring items is more expensive than it's worth if you're making good progress. Alright, that's all the station knowledge you'll need in order to hit the ground running. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content in the future. If you're looking for guides about getting better at fighting, along with other tips, check out my other videos here. Thanks for watching, and as always, good hunting.